Starting with the base body that I made and used for all the scene variations of this character. For the scene of Pride, I decided to turn her into a puppet. Here's a quick look at what one of the joints is going to look like. I start by making a backup of the normal body, just in case. First, I cut off the head. It has shape keys, and I don't want to accidentally mess those up. Then I delete half the body and add a mirror modifier. Then start cutting out the joints, beginning with the elbows. For these joints I wanted nice round shapes. The knees also get two big ball joints. And I shape them in a way that they look like they can bend naturally. After that came the feet. They caused me a bit of difficulty because they had to have the front of the joint higher up. I mean, that's just the feet shape. The shoulders I went a little differently. Instead of full ball joints, I used these sort of half spheres. And then the hands. There were so many joints packed into them that they easily became the most annoying part of the model. I would turn on the armature visibility so I could see exactly where each finger bends. Most of this part was just me messing with the topology until it somewhat looks okay. I would toggle the subdivision visibility on and off while editing the hands because it made using knife easier. I also added some small indentations where each finger bent. I really hated making the hands. Seriously, they were the worst. Once they were done, I cleaned up the topology a bit more and compared them to the original model to keep the proportions consistent. Then came time for the hip joints. And I just kinda stared a bit, just wondering how puppet hips were supposed to work. I tried finding references online, but they're almost always covered by clothes. And searching for puppet ass felt like a great way to end up on some kind of very questionable list. So for a bit I just rotated the model around, trying some stuff until something looked right. And the hip joints ended up having the biggest balls of the entire model. Since I couldn't just leave cat limbs hollow, I had to close off all the openings. When closing off shoulders and elbows, I didn't really like the method I used, so I changed it when I was doing the knees. In the end, I settled on filling the openings using inset and just pushing a few vertices back. Next I made a new texture just for the inside of the joints. I created a 2K image, then proceeded to paint only two small corners of it. I thought I would add some more things here. I didn't. At first I painted joints bright red because contrast against the skin looked nice, but later it completely crashed with the purple color theme, so later I will end up switching them to metallic purple silver instead. The hips needed a bit more tweaking before I was happy with the way they covered the balls. Fixing up the hands went much faster the second time around, thankfully. For the inside of the joints I tried a few colors before setting on a darker purple. I also did a neck joint where the head connects. Then it was time for the clothes. I wanted a dress with slits on both sides, exposing most of the hip, and with rounded edges. After that, I started adding some accessories. I didn't really have a strong plan here, so I began with few bracelets with gemstones. Then I added a crown. Pride and royalty kinda fit, so I thought of adding a crown. A regular crown felt kinda boring, so I made this floating, and then I added a few strings coming out from it that would connect to the character, making it into a kind of crown puppet controller. The side strings I attached to her hands, while the back string, one connected to her head and the other to her butt. I mean, it was the only place that it could have been connected to. What? I could have connected the two back strings to two legs instead? I mean, I could have, but I was too distracted. For the hair, I wanted a long braid, going all the way to the knees. At first I did a bit of the front and side. I didn't really have an idea for the front, so I just went with it. For the back, the big long braid. The back hair is simple, just leading into the braid. I didn't add any loose strands or anything like that, because I wanted to keep the hairstyle clean. At one point I mirrored the longer front side hair strands to the other side. I also added a braided crown around her head, kind of like something Julius Caesar or other ancient dudes were usually shown wearing. At first I wasn't sure whether editing it as curves or as a mesh would be easier, but after converting it I found it much easier to shape, because I could just rotate any part that I wanted. Before converting everything to mesh permanently, I also saved a backup of the curved version, just in case. Then I make sure to clean up the mesh a bit to make sure that head wouldn't peek through the hair. For coloring purple hair I just used color ramp for most of the hair. And for the braided crown I just used solid purple. The dress is also purple. While the crown is gold with some purple gemstones. At first, the model still felt a little empty, so I experimented a bit more with the accessories. I'm honestly still not completely happy with them. Most of them ended up being bracelets with gems because I ran out of ideas. And I also added some decorative outlines to the dress using a slightly different shade of purple. Then I made a matching leg accessory. Also added an armband that took a couple of tries before I settled on something simple. A necklace and a few more gemstones, and added a few more gemstones. The braid ends with another matching gold ornament. Around this point, And at this point I realized that the red joints weren't working, so I changed them to metallic purple silver color instead. Then I reused a pair of ears from another scene design. I recolored them. And adjusted the fit to fit. Overall, I'm kinda happy with how she turned out, although I'm not sold on the accessories and I feel like she's missing something. Maybe I will figure that out later. On the note of missing something, if you have watched this far, can you guess what I completely forgot to add? I mean, I remembered it while I was exporting the model to Godot, but I just decided I couldn't be bothered with it, so I didn't end up actually adding it. I'm going to skip the white painting because that's just several hours of suffering. Instead, here's a finished model in-game. I added a few of her into a scene. I made some simple Weeping Angel scripts. We all know it, when you look at them they freeze, and the moment you look away, they start moving towards you. Anyway, that's about it. If you want to see how I'm going to use this model in-game, check out some of my devlogs, and if you feel like it, leave a like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.